you. Peace and blessings, family. Okay, I'm back on here again tonight talking to another community member that is running for city council seat, this time in District 8. We are joined by a community, I would see you as a community elder because you don't put in some work.
Absolutely.
This is Mr. Ronald Bell. Thank you for coming to talk to me
tonight. It's my pleasure.
This is
Absolutely.
so awesome. So awesome.
It is.
So who is Ronald Bell?
Ronald Bell is someone who was born and raised here in Sacramento.
Right on.
But I am who I am because somebody loved me. You
Right
hear
on.
me? Somebody attended to me. Somebody cared for me. And I was targeted. And that individual is my mother. Mother Dolores Lewis. She's the church mother, a Progressive Church of God in Christ. My mama was born in Oroville, California. So my family's been on the West Coast for at least 5 generations.
Right on.
And it's because of her, of who I am.
Right on.
I'm a devout Christian. I was raised in the Progressive Church of God in Christ. I'm a retired pastor. I've been married 32 years to my wife.
Wow.
All of our children are grown. And my son, who just got out of the United States Air Force, he was deployed to Kuwait, has come back to live with his mother and father, and he's my campaign manager.
All right on.
He
How many
is
children you say you have?
I have 9 altogether, 7 girls and 2 boys.
Wow.
And I raised all of them,
You say 7 girls?
7 girls. And all of them are here in Sacramento except for 2. One of my oldest daughters lives in Seattle, Washington, and another one is up in Reno, Nevada. But everyone else of my children are here.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Because, 9 children is one thing, but 7 daughters?
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Okay. 32 years of marriage.
I'm a UC Davis graduate.
With UC Davis.
I not only did I go to UC Davis, but I was a valedictorian for the class of 2010 when we graduated. Also, I'm a Kappa. I don't know if you know anything about the Greek life, but I'm a Kappa Alpha Psi. I was the president of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity for 1 year, and I pastored a church for 13 years inside the San Pernell Community Center. And here's what is remarkable about that whole thing.
Okay.
I opened up Sacramento for religious services in any community center on Sunday. My church was the very first church in the city of Sacramento to be allowed to hold religious services at their communities on Sunday. And you know who got that for me?
Who?
None other than Bonnie Pennell.
Wow.
That's why in my campaign, I'm letting everyone know is that I want to continue the legacy of both Sam and Bonnie Pennell. And what is that legacy? That legacy is that Sam Pennell wanted to empower Black economic power for our people. In so doing, Sam believed that we would allow others to come in and be a part of our neighborhood, and they would flourish just like Black people. And that's exactly what's happened in the 8th District. The Asian community has benefited from our taking care of our homes, raising our children. And the other thing about the 8th District is we have some excellent schools, at least the ones that are still open. And that's pretty much who I am. I'm a grassroots candidate, and by that, what I mean is, I'm not into photo ops. You won't get a whole bunch of pictures of me, and many of the pictures that have been taken, they weren't with my permission. They just happened to snap a shot of me, like that picture you got out there on the wall.
Yeah.
I don't know where you got that picture from. But I'm a grassroots candidate, and one of the other things, even though I am a retired pastor, I'm the one the neighborhood calls when they need their loved one buried, their mom, their children. I'm also the one that's called when the police have sent a hit squad out for a young Black man on the run. And I had a young Black man call me and say, Pastor Bell, the police, I know they got a hit squad out for me. Will you take me to jail? And I said, yes, I would.
Wow.
And it's recorded by the KCRA News recorded me walking this young man into jail who felt that they would have killed him.
Wow.
And so as a grassroots candidate, everybody, and I mean everybody in the community, knows who Ronald L is. Many people refer to me pastor, even though I've been retired for almost 8 years. Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, what made you want to run for this city council seat in District 8?
I saw the legacy that Sam and Bonnie Pinnell were working on go downhill with the election of the current individual. I don't think he saw the vision that Sam and Bonnie had for the 8th district. What's indicative of their vision is the Blue Line Light Rail. It now goes all the way to Consumnes River College. So what that has done, it has opened up transportation availability for all the residents of the 8th district. That was always the vision of Sam Pinnell. Also the Pinnell Community Center, named after Sam Pinnell, because of his exceptional care and concern for every resident of the 8th district. And that's my primary concern. I want the people who live in the 8th district to be remembered and cared for. They need someone who actually loved them, and I love the people. I really do.
So looking at District 8, we know that that's Meadowview, that's Valley High, and that's North Laguna. Is it possible to have some equity when dealing with these different neighborhoods? Because we know Meadowview's economical situation is a little different than Valley High. Valley High is a little different than North Laguna. If you became city council member, could you bring some equity to how we treat the neighborhoods?
Absolutely. Here's my plan.
Okay.
First of all, we've got all of these homeowners associations spread out all over the 8th district. And I've gone to the various homeowners association meetings, and many of them have similar problems, but the Meadowview Homeowner Association has no idea what the North Laguna Homeowners Association are facing. My plan is to create one big association where all of the homeowner associations in the 8th district come together at least once a month. They can all continue to have their own separate meetings, but all of the associations will come together and we'll delve into what each of them are experiencing in their particular neighborhood. And I think what that will do is provide us with an idea of how to address whatever the problems are for the 8th district, because we'll be getting a wider perspective and the neighbors will be able to hear one another's issues. The other thing is that we know that homelessness is a national problem.
I'll definitely ask you about that homelessness.
It's a national problem. And I'm not a homeless advocate, but I've got a solution for that problem as well. The first thing we have to do is spread it around in terms of who serves the homeless. They just put a homeless shelter on Meadowview, right next to Sam and Bonnie Pinnell's Community Center. Every district must have a homeless shelter. Right. Whatever's done in the 8th district has to be, in order to be fair, has to be done in the other districts as well.
I agree. So we do know that the homeless problem is everywhere, but it seems very distinctive in Meadowview. I mean, I grew up in this area and I have an office here, and I've seen a lot of homeless people, more now than ever. I've never seen a homeless thing, even across the country, like this ever. What can we do to make sure our communities are having compassion for that population? Because they're growing.
Yes.
And this is not like somebody who, like the old school homeless dude, you see them, or whatever. These are people who are living in their cars, working at Walmart. Right. So what do we do about that in our district? What's your plan for that?
We love them. We care for them. I believe that that's one of the reasons that Sam and Bonnie Pinnell work so hard in the 8th district. We're a community where anyone, first of all, are welcome into our community, and we'll take care of them and love them just like anybody else. I'm not against the homeless shelter on Meadowview Road, but here's what I plan to do with that shelter. Okay. I'm gonna build it out. It's not gonna be a temporary tent city. I'm gonna make sure that shelter, it becomes what I call an oasis, a beautiful facility, especially where it's gonna be located right next to the Sam Pinnell Community Center. We should probably adopt some of the same plans in terms of construction that complement the Sam Pinnell Community Center, because it's going to be so close to it.
Right on.
And my plan is to open it up, not just for women and children, but for families, because that's what we're beginning to see in the South area, is entire families are sleeping in their cars, are sleeping under the little water tunnels, you know, for wastewater and stuff like that. The cause, so I just described for you the problem, but the cause of it is downtown Sacramento.
Okay, help me out with that.
Well, the Kings Arena forced everyone south, especially the homeless people. They didn't force them east into the fabulous 40s.
Oh, well, that's not going to happen.
They didn't force them west because the river is right there.
Okay.
They couldn't force them north because the North Sacramento is going under extreme gentrification as we speak. So the only other neighborhood and community, first of all, that had weak leadership that wouldn't really derail their plans, allowed all those homeless people who were primarily in downtown Sacramento to come south, to South Sacramento.
All right. What's your plans for economical development? Or I'm going to pose you the same question that I posed to the last gentleman last night. I basically talked about there is a hold on, let me see. Sorry, I just got to say. So basically, you have this thing about inclusion, economic inclusion. What is your plans for economic inclusion in District 8, and particularly in Meadowview? Because Valley High as well, all the areas. We know Elk Grove is booming. We know that Mac Road has a little bit more business, but when you get to Meadowview, because the Delta Shores that's not Meadowview. That's a whole nother city council.
Yet.
Okay, what's not? Okay, tell me what you're gonna do for Meadowview, and tell me what you mean by not yet.
Okay, first of all, when I get in office, the very first thing I'm going to do with regard to economic development is introduce serious business people who are interested in starting their own business. I'm going to introduce them to the Small Business Administration, which is a federal agency that will take them from start to finish in starting a business, and even help them get startup money, loans, guaranteed federal government loans to go and help them get off to a good start in that first year. I think that the Small Business Administration is one of the least known and least used organizations by especially Black entrepreneurs. It's there waiting for them. And I'm just going to be proactive in making certain that if anybody approaches me about, hey, Councilman Bell, can you help us? And I'm going to say, absolutely, I can. And what I really want to do is establish some sort of place in my office where people can actually come and get introduced to what the Small Business Administration has to offer. Because in order to start a business, you got to have a business plan, and you also have to have money. And that's just what the Small Business Administration promises to anyone who's serious. And once they get their business plan straightened out, and if it looks good enough, and that's what they'll do. The SBA will make sure all your I's are dotted, all your T's are crossed, and what it does is it almost ensures that anybody looking at your business plan are going to fund it or going to want it in their neighborhood. And that's my plan for the economic development.
So what do you mean when you say Delta Shores is not in District 8 yet? What does that mean?
Well, my job as a city councilman is going to be about land use and land allocation. Again, the legacy of Sam and Bobby Pennell extends into Delta Shore. That's another reason why the blue line cuts right through that. And of course, we know that all of our streets currently sitting in Meadowview are going to be thoroughfares straight into Delta Shores. Okay. Delta Shores will become the 8th district. Now, what I'm uncertain of is how much of it. There's going to be 5,000 homes built in Delta Shores. They're not going to add a 9th district. So quite naturally, the Meadowview and the 8th district will be a portion of Delta Shores. And I believe it's probably going to be split between me and Rick Jennings.
That's what I was thinking. Right now, that's his district. That's a
not
part
all of it. Not all of it. No, not all of it.
Help me draw those boundary lines.
Well, I've heard that that the 24th Street is going to be a major thoroughfare. In fact, they're working right now to beautify that whole street. because it's gonna go right into Delta Shore. But what they are telling us and what we know is that they're gonna have Amherst go straight into Delta Shores. They're gonna have Tamashanner. They're gonna have Detroit Boulevard. I just took a ride down Detroit Boulevard, and they're all dead ends. They're all dead ends. But if you get out your car and look, you can see Delta Shores over in the distance. And they're going to develop those roads so that there's a thoroughfare to get you to Delta Shores. And I know that part of Delta Shores is going to be District. It's going to become District A. I just don't know how much. The ideal thing to be is 50-50. It's going to be 5,000 homes. The 8th District should be 2,500 of those 5,000.
Got it. What's your plans for home ownership since you just brought that up?
Well, home
How
ownership.
can we increase that home ownership?
Okay. First of all, we've got to, just like we're placed a ceiling on rent increases, we've got to keep home purchases affordable, especially for the young couple coming in attempting to purchase their very first home. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that as Delta Shores is built out, that there will be homes that will be affordable. And how do we make homes that are going to go to 400,000? How do we make them affordable? The city is going to have to cooperate. Currently, contractors who build homes, they have to pay the city upwards to $65,000 before they've even stuck a shovel in the ground. So what I want to do is I want to reduce the fees that the city charges contractors to build homes, okay? Once we do that, it'll lower their cost, and also we could carry that cost on to lowering the price of first-time home buyers. And I want to give a percentage. I would like to set aside at least 35% of the new homes that are going to be built in Delta Shore at a reasonable market rate. And I checked, I think in the 8th District currently, the average cost of a home is just under $300,000. But it's going up because we're getting speculators coming into the 8th District, and they're buying not one, not two, but 3 homes at a time. And they're renting them out at very exorbitant rental prices.
What about, what's your plans for jobs for young people and adults as well? What's your plans for that? In particular, I'm going to be honest, I work with a lot of young people, black young people, and the job market has been extremely hard for them to get in the door.
Right. Education is a big thing for me. I went back to UC Davis at the age of 57 to finish my degree. What we're going to have to do for children, for the kids and work, as you know, many jobs are being phased out and being replaced by technology. So the first thing that many, not just young folks, but anyone who's looking for employment, they're going to have to learn what the latest electronics are now. I'm learning myself, even though at first I was a little resistant to it, but you're going to have to be able, first of all, to know how to operate a computer, just basic operation, just basic program. Even McDonald's now requires you to have some computer experience. So now, how do we create jobs? We can create jobs by taking advantage of all the open space in the 8th District. The other thing about the 8th District, it's all about land. It's all about land. We're the only neighborhood where there's room for growth. So with that growth are going to come more jobs. A lot of our kids who currently live in the 8th are working at Delta Shores. If you go to the theaters or go to any of the eateries, you'll see a number of individuals who live in the 8th District who work there. And I'm for multi-use. I'm for that corner store sitting in the middle of a neighborhood. I'm for that dress shop sitting in the middle of a neighborhood, so that every time, in a grocery store sitting right there. I mean, when I was growing up, you didn't have to get in your car to go to the grocery store. You didn't have to get in the car to go to the dry cleaners, because our communities were mixed use communities. And basically, a lot of it was in walking distance. A lot of work is going to come from the construction boom that's coming to the south.
So that's my
area.
next question. Is I think there's always jobs, and even with Delta Shores, but they don't pay a livable wage.
Right. Well, we're going to push. We're
So
pushing
we
for
talk
that
about that.
$15 an hour.
Okay.
You know, but as I told you, I graduated from UC Davis. Guess what UC Davis did? The town of Davis did. The minimum wage there is now $15 an hour. And it has to happen not only in the 8th district, but across, it should happen across this nation. But I'm gonna absolutely fight for the $15 minimum wage when I get in office. Yeah.
Will there be any, with some of the construction and jobs that are coming, is there any way to guarantee that some of those jobs will go to certain and different communities, especially those communities that have been disenfranchised?
Absolutely. Again, most of those jobs are gonna, I wanna say all of them, but I'll say most of them are going to be union jobs.
Right.
And what I'm gonna do when I get in office, I'm gonna hold the unions responsible to hiring not only people from our community, but also young people, putting young people in their apprenticeship program. And I know currently now just about every union shop has an apprenticeship program, but they're just not selling it to our people. You know what I mean? It's not known to everybody. And then also you have to travel far and wide in order to take part in these apprenticeship programs.
Right.
So what I want to do is I want to build out a place where people in the 8th district won't have to travel outside their community to take part in these apprenticeship programs. And it's easily done. It really is easily done. One of the other things I'm going to ask the unions to do and compel them to do is, remember I told you about the oases for the homeless? The unions can donate all their skills from all their various craftsmen to build those free of charge. Absolutely free of charge. We're constantly giving them contracts. We're constantly giving them the benefit of the doubt in any kind of new construction. And I'm for labor. I'm for labor. I was a union steward when I worked for the state of California. That was the other thing. I worked for the state of California for 24 years. I left the state of California in 2015. And here's what makes me the perfect candidate for the 8th district.
Okay.
I'm a state trained supervisor. I worked my way up from offices up to a supervisor, and I supervised the largest mail room in the state of California. That's DMV. I've supervised 42 employees, and I was held accountable for mail getting out every day. And so my platform, the #1 item on my platform is everybody gets to be held accountable for whatever position they're in, whatever they're doing. They're going to have somebody that they're going to have that's going to hold them accountable for whatever it is. I think the city lacks accountability currently. The second thing is affordable homes, which we just spoke about. Putting aside 35%. That's not going to be a lot of homes, but it will be enough for first-time home buyers to get in there and be comfortable. Fairness and diversity. Even though we have a few ethnics in various spots in city government, there aren't enough. We need more diversity in our city institutions.
Right.
Also, fairness. I mean, come on. It's not difficult to recognize when something's fair and when something is unfair. And that's what has got to be made clear to everyone. I'm going to be about fairness. I'm going to be about diversity. I'm going to be about holding people accountable. And if need be, I'm going to go out on a picket line with these young folks because I feel for them and I understand the positions they have and I support those positions. There's no way in the world, I don't know if you want me to go here, but there's no way in the world a policeman should be able to kill any unarmed citizen and get scot clean away.
What do you think the answer to that is? Is it more black police officers? What can you do to ensure that more black people, because we know we have to have police. That's law and order.
Absolutely.
But how do we even that out? And more importantly, what can you do as a city council member, if you are elected, to help balance that out and make it be more balanced, where you just can't be black men being fearful of being shot by a police officer? Yeah. What can you do with that?
Since 2014, 300 unarmed black men have been killed by the police. 300 every year since 2014. what I'm going to do when I'm elected is I'm going to sit down with Chief Hahn. Chief Hahn has to recognize there's a problem. And with his aid, I want to develop some accountability factor for the police. Remember I told you my number one platform is accountability. Chief Hahn has got to hold his officers under his command accountable. And they've got to know that they're going to be held accountable. If he chooses not to, then from my dais, I will hold the police, the individual police officers accountable. And if it appears to be rampant, the whole Sacramento Police Department, I will hold accountable. And police training has to be longer. A police officer should not be able to wear a gun after 6 months of training at the police academy. You hear what I'm saying? And also, I think we've got to do a better psychological screening of those we do hire, because some of the actions of police who are hired to serve and protect are suspect in a great degree. You know, with the advent of social media, we have access now to a lot more instances of where a law enforcement officer who's paid by the taxpayers is just completely out of line, in uniform, with a gun. Those individuals I will hold accountable.
So if you are elected, how would District 8 look different under 2 years as you as a city council member if you get the seat?
Well, I've been going to homeowners association meetings and listening to what people say. The first thing I would do is brighten up Meadowview after the sun goes down. Okay. Our community is dark at night. I don't know if you've ever walked the streets or driven the streets, but the lighting is old. As a city councilman, that's going to be one of the first things I get, because one of the ladies said she likes to ride her bike long distances, and she says when she comes back to Meadowview, it's so dark she's frightened. So I will make certain that we have better lighting on our streets. Also, we have a few bike lanes, but I would open them up. I would open a few more bike lanes, simply because more and more people now are using alternate means of transportation besides their cars. My wife rides the light rail every day to her job downtown. Occasionally I'll get on light rail just to see what it's like. I prefer driving, but I just want to see what the climate's like on a lot of our public transportation systems. The other thing is that, remember I was telling you earlier about how all the homeowner associations, I want to bring them together, and I want to sit down with them, and I really want to find out, what do you see our community needing? I don't know everything that we need, but what I do know is that the people who live and work every day in Meadowview, they know. And unless we get them together and ask them what can be done to make the quality of life for you better, tell me, and that is what will propel all my actions as a city council member.
Here's the question I overlooked. The city is working on a plan for inclusive economic development. How are you fighting to make sure the community is front and center in the process?
Well, the difficulty with that are the amounts of money that are included in that. I read the whole plan with respect to that, and I think
that's Measure U, isn't it?
No, this is not Measure. This is something separate that I believe is the mayor's baby, and I think $100,000 are what's going to, up to $100,000 is what's going to be offered for the economic development in our community. And of course, they're going to have to meet very strict criteria in order to be accepted. And one of the problems that African Americans and other ethnicities run into is they don't have all their I's and their T's crossed. That's where my small business administration office will come into handy. So again, if I'm approached by individuals who are serious about starting their own businesses, I'm gonna say, come on, I'm gonna hook you up with the Small Business Administration. They're gonna help you with your business plan. They're gonna help you with how to work out your accounting, and they're gonna help you submit a very detailed plan of your particular business and why you should be funded. I think, again, we just don't use that SB, the Small Business Administration, to our advantage, and it's just sitting there. And I was looking at it right before I came because I was hoping you would ask me about this. It's a wonderful federal government program, and it actually works. And I was reading the percentages of people, and they break it down into various ethnicity. And of course, you know who's the lowest ethnicity.
Wow.
Not because the SBA is turning them away. It's because they don't apply, they don't seek the assistance of the Small Business Administration. And I'm going to holler from the highest mountain that, hey, the Small Business Administration is your ticket to opening and keeping your business running.
Now, you do know we have like the African market, and a lot of black entrepreneurs is not waiting on the traditional status quo.
I understand.
Are you trying to join that status quo, or will you allow new and innovative people come in and help you in all the areas you just talked about?
This place is called an incubator. Is that not right?
No,
Where
it's
the
not.
African market?
It's the African market now.
Oh, okay.
It was the incubator. I remember that.
Well, the term incubator is a place where you groom people, help them develop, and as they grow, you can help them move out and either get a brick and mortar place, you know. And I was under the impression that not only was it the African marketplace, but also the incubator is where businesses are grown.
Well, some people call it Florence Square. That's another name it has. It has over 2 million views on these social media.
Oh, okay.
So it has, again, it has morphed. Like, you know, and so it's kind of like, I get the things that we use. But I know some people who went through the business administration and they weren't happy with it. Small business, they weren't happy with it. So a lot of people make new systems because they don't fit into the old system that may work for you.
Right.
But it may not work for you know, we have a lot of entrepreneurs here, and they did not come that traditional route that we used to.
Right.
How would you make room for those new ideas?
Well, I think what's always been missing, especially for young entrepreneurs, they have great ideas. Many of them have to be taken by the hand and carried along every step of the way to get funding, to get accepted into certain programs, to receive some of that economic development money. And I'm willing to do that. Not only will I myself take one of their hands, but I'm going to develop a crew of people willing to go along with the person every step of the way. When obstacles arise, we're gonna knock them obstacles down. And I also believe that we should have success stories. Whenever someone gets through my system, I'm gonna blow them up so everybody know that if this person can do it, you can do it as well, and you won't be alone anywhere in that process. We'll be right. The 8th District, your council representative, will be right there every step of the way.
So I need you to look into this camera and tell people why they should vote for you.
The reason you should vote for Ronald Bell is because, first of all, I'm a grassroots advocate. I know these streets, I know this community, not just Meadowview, but Valley High. My office has been at Valley High for 6 years. Also, because I love the people of the 8th District. This is my home. My mama, in fact, has lived in her house for 55 years over on 64th Avenue in Amherst. And also, you want someone like me, I'm a fighter. I never give up. And I will fight for the residents, all the residents of the 8th District, to make certain that their quality of life improves, that they will, that I will hold people accountable for any abuses or anything that is brought to my attention that needs to be addressed. I won't let it just fall away. I will address it. And also, finally, my economic development plan will increase the value of our community tenfold. That's why you should vote for me.
All right. Well, with that being said, family, thank you so much for coming
Thank
and sitting
you.
down. You
Thank
gave us a lot of
you.
great information.
Thank you so much.
I do look forward to talking with you some more. Along with all the candidates, we're going to do some community roundtables where the community can talk directly to you all about what their concerns are. So thank you so much. Okay, family, so tomorrow night I'll be back with Tracy Stafford, who is running for Assembly seat in Elk Grove. So I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great evening. Peace.
Bye-bye.